Have you ever felt like you're living a story you didn't write, like wearing a coat that never quite fits, passed down through generations? These coats are made of stories, beliefs, and behaviors we inherit without realizing. They shape how we see the world, how we love, and how we feel about ourselves long before we have a choice. These inherited stories are often called generational curses, but really, they're just patterns. They're the unspoken rules of a family, the ways we learn to cope with pain, fear, and scarcity. We carry these patterns into our own lives, repeating financial mistakes, struggling to express emotions, or finding ourselves in unhealthy relationships. It's not weakness, it's familiarity. These patterns are our default setting, but here's the truth: we are not our stories. We are the authors of our lives. We can put down the heavy coat that doesn't fit. The first step is simply acknowledging the story exists. It takes courage to look at the narrative we've inherited and say, this part is not mine to carry anymore. We can honor our past without being imprisoned by it. The weight of these stories can feel immense, but we are not destined to repeat them. We have the power to choose a new path. The journey begins with awareness. What do generational patterns look like? Sometimes they're loud addiction, poverty, cycles everyone sees but no one names. Other times they're quiet, the unspoken rules of communication, the way love is shown or how worth is measured. Maybe you avoid conflict because your family did, or you tie your value to achievements because love felt conditional. These patterns can even be about joy, never letting yourself get too happy, always waiting for the other shoe to drop. Recognizing these echoes is crucial. We must become detectives in our own lives, listening to our self-talk and reactions. Ask, where did I learn this? Whose voice is this? Is this belief truly mine? It's not about blame. It's about understanding. When we trace the pattern to its source, we see it's a learned behavior, not a life sentence. This is where change begins. Breaking free starts with awareness, a quiet whisper that asks, why am I doing this again? Most of us live on autopilot, unaware of the invisible scripts running our lives. Awareness is separating who we are from what we've learned. Imagine watching your life as a movie, seeing yourself repeat a pattern and realizing that's just like my parent. This isn't about blame, it's about collecting data. For Michael, a successful business owner, the wake-up call came when his daughter said, You're just like Grandpa. You're here, but not really here. That moment of awareness was painful, but it was a start of change. He saw his emotional absence everywhere, in his relationships, his work, his life. Awareness didn't fix everything, but it gave him a choice. For the first time, he could consciously choose a new path. Awareness is the key that unlocks the cage. You may not be free yet, but you finally realize you're holding the key. That's where transformation begins. Let me tell you about Sarah, who grew up in a family where silence was the rule, especially around grief. When her brother died, his name was never spoken again. The pain was buried, not healed. Sarah learned to hide her feelings, believing grief was dangerous. As an adult, she shut down in the face of loss, unable to ask for help or name her emotions. Her moment of awareness came after her son was born. Her fear of losing him was overwhelming. She realized the unspoken grief from her childhood was casting a shadow over her present. Determined not to pass on this legacy, Sarah chose to break the silence. She started therapy, spoke her brother's name, and told her story for the first time. It was painful, but it opened the door to healing. She found the courage to talk to her mother, not with blame, but with a desire to connect. Mom, I need to talk about him. I need us to remember him together. That conversation cracked open decades of pain, but also brought honesty and connection. Sarah was rewriting her family story about grief, one brave word at a time. Breaking the silence became her act of love. She chose a new legacy for her son. Awareness leads to the next step, personal responsibility. This is where we stop blaming and start looking in the mirror. Our past shapes us, but it doesn't have to define us. Responsibility isn't about blame, it's about owning our healing. When we blame, we give away our power. When we take responsibility, we reclaim it. Yes, this happened to me, but now I decide what comes next. It's not about pretending the past didn't hurt, but refusing to let it dictate our future. We must own our part in the patterns, how we've repeated cycles, even unintentionally. This isn't a time for shame. Shame says, I am bad. Responsibility says, I can change. You didn't write the first chapters of your life, but you're holding the pen now. You can choose to write a new story. Introduce themes of healing, courage, and connection. Taking responsibility is the moment you pick up the pen and write your first new sentence. It's the most powerful choice you'll ever make. The story is yours now. After awareness and responsibility comes the real work, healing. Healing is messy, non-linear, and deeply personal. It means sitting with uncomfortable feelings, grief, anger, sadness, instead of avoiding them. For some, healing means therapy. For others, support groups or sharing your story. There's power in realizing you're not alone. Healing also means practicing self-compassion, treating yourself with kindness, especially when you stumble. It's about reparenting yourself, giving what you didn't receive as a child. Validation, safety, celebration. This work is challenging and requires patience. But through it, we untangle ourselves from the past. We mend wounds so we don't pass them on. Healing is how we break the cycle. As we heal, we realize we need to protect our progress. This is where boundaries come in. Boundaries aren't walls. They're lines that protect our well-being. For those from enmeshed or chaotic families, boundaries can feel foreign or selfish. But to break a generational pattern, we often have to change how we interact with those who taught us the pattern. Setting boundaries with family is hard but necessary. For example, I love you, but I won't tolerate being spoken to that way. Expect pushback. People may call you selfish or try to guilt you. Holding your ground is essential. It teaches others how to treat you and reinforces your self-worth. You're not responsible for others' reactions, only for communicating your needs with kindness. Boundaries are a sign of healthy relationships. By drawing these lines, you model a new, healthier way of relating. You're not just protecting yourself, you're creating a foundation for future generations. Boundaries break cycles and build respect. Breaking free isn't just about stopping old patterns, it's about creating new ones. After all the hard work, ask, what legacy do I want to leave? Build the family culture you've always dreamed of, one choice at a time. If the old pattern was silence, choose open conversations. If it was scarcity, choose financial openness. Define your core values, connection, honesty, kindness, and let them guide your decisions. Every small choice is a brick in your new legacy. This is a journey of 1,000 small steps, not one grand gesture. Choose to apologize, to celebrate, to be vulnerable, to ask for help. These choices carve a new path. You're not just breaking a curse, you're creating a blessing. Our healing isn't just for us, it creates a ripple effect. When one person changes, it touches everyone around them and generations to come. Like a pebble in a pond, your courage spreads outward. You change your relationships, your children's environment, and even offer healing to the past. When you model healthy expression, you give your children a new emotional language. Sometimes your healing gives your parents the courage to face their own pain. Every pattern you break is one your children won't inherit. Every wound you heal is one they won't carry. You're not just changing your life, you're altering your family's history. You become a cycle breaker, and that's a powerful legacy. We've explored the stories we carry and the courage it takes to change. Breaking free is the ultimate act of daring greatly, choosing courage over comfort, writing your own ending. The past may have written your prologue, but you get to write the epic story of your life. Fill your pages with vulnerability, connection, and wholeheartedness. This is your story to write. Don't let anyone else hold the pen. Every tear, every conversation, every boundary is an investment in your freedom and your family's future. You are a transitional character, the one who stops the pain from being passed down. This is your legacy, courage, healing, and love. Stand tall. Look at the patterns with compassion, but not acceptance. Acknowledge the story you were handed, then find the courage to write a new one. Make it uniquely, beautifully yours. Break the chains, break the silence, break the cycles. Be free. Your story is waiting.